Michael Johnson.
This is David Nelson.
This is Rob McClain.
This is Antonio Gray.
This is Antonio Brown.
Hi, this is Kyle Rudolph.
On the Pro Football Central Radio Network.
We're here.
And we are back on Colts Central Radio, and I'd like you to welcome our first guest tonight, Jonotthan Harris, center for the Indianapolis Colts. Thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's quite an honor.
Well, I got to tell you, your name is front and center, no pun intended, among Colts fans. How does it feel to suddenly be so much in the spotlight thanks to a pretty important position that you're filling in as the Colts shuffle with the offensive line dealing with injuries?
Honestly, I haven't been paying attention much to the media at all. Some of my teammates would come up and mention something about me or give me a hard time about it, whatever, just joking around. But I actually haven't been paying any attention to that just because, there's a lot on my shoulders right now. Yeah. So I've really just been trying to take this time to focus on football.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever stopped to think that you are coming fast on the heels of an undrafted free agent center who may wind up in the Hall of Fame one day in Indianapolis and be in the form of Jeff Saturday? So you kind of have a nice legacy to follow up on playing center and coming in as an undrafted rookie.
Yeah, definitely. I was reading up on that a bit, and it's quite interesting. And whether drafted or undrafted, you really just have to carry the mentality, that you want to be great and work as if you want to be great when you're on the field.
Well, it seems like a really good opportunity for you to land in Indianapolis. Is there a point sort of late in that 7th round on draft day where you kind of hope that you don't get drafted? I know it's a big honor to get selected, but when you don't get drafted, you get to pick where you come. What made you select Indianapolis, and do you feel like it's worked out well for you that you kind of got to choose your landing spot?
Yeah, actually, the draft was a little frustrating, but I was just waiting it out with my family. I was keeping in touch with my agent, Blake Barrett from the Institute of Athletes, and he's like, you know what? At this point, it almost would be better to, just, get drafted or get selected as a free agent because you can choose. And then we did a little research, and we saw that Indianapolis Colts, could have used some interior help. And he said, that'd be a great spot for me to land, great opportunity for me to compete for the position.
Well, that's some outstanding advice, and I think it's important that fans realize, first of all, you're a big-name player from a big-name school. I mean, it's not like you went to Podunk State. You're coming from the University of Florida. You're a bright guy, won academic awards, team MVPs. I mean, you're not exactly like an unknown guy out there. You're a legitimate talent, and Colts fans should feel pretty good with having you under center right now.
I'm just here to work, and, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It's quite a privilege to be out here in Colts Nation, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. Definitely, hard work every day, and, I'm just excited for everything to come around and start rolling. You'll see where everything lands up.
Do you have any personal goals for yourself this season? And what are you looking for out of your play? I mean, obviously, it starts with, you want to make the team, obviously.
Yeah.
What kind of other goals do you have for yourself?
Really, I'm just focusing on making the team right now. That's the most important, goal for me at the moment, of course. That's my main focus. And, I do have a lot of goals. I'm not going to mention a lot of them. I like to keep them personal. But I do want to be a contributor in the interior line, whether I'm a constant rotational guy or, if I can compete for a starting spot, so be it. But really, I just want to be a contributor and, keep building, keep working on my craft as an offensive lineman.
George, you've seen Mr. Harrison every day in practice. So what questions do you have for him?
Yeah, Jonathan, it's George Bremer with the Anderson Herald Bulletin here. One thing I want to know is, how's Anderson treating you here in our hometown?
No, Anderson's great. It's a much smaller town, and that's what I'm used to. That's why I grew up in Florida. And, some parts of it actually remind me back home. But, Anderson's been great. And, these 3 weeks actually flew by. And it's crazy how fast they went. I can't believe we're done with camp tomorrow.
I know that we kind of talked to you out there at camp a couple of days ago, and you were talking about being driven because you thought you might get drafted. And They're going to have that chip on your shoulder. Now, when you see Khalid Holmes go down, I know the mindset on this offensive line really from day one has been competition. Everyone's competing for a spot anyway. Did your mindset even change at all, or is it really the same as it was before the injury?
Really, it was the same as before the injury. I just approached every practice with the mindset of, you're competing for a starting spot. You have to get better, or you have to do what it takes to get better, become a better offensive lineman. And just the fact that, going undrafted, being a free agent was just that much more driving power, I guess you could say, that much more motivation to prove to myself that I can be a great offensive lineman.
Do you approach this week now not as a placeholder, not as a situation where you're just going to start now, but do you approach this week as you are the starter and just keep preparing that way?
Every week, every day, you have to approach practice, approach football in general as if you're a starter. If you prepare as if you're a starter, then the one day when you're given the opportunity to be a starter, nothing will have to change. It's not all of a sudden, there's that much more pressure. I apply that pressure to myself even when I was, working with second string. So
we asked for some questions from Twitter followers earlier today, and I thought I got a really good one from James Murphy. He wanted to know, you played in a spread offense, obviously, at Florida. What have you had to do to change your blocking schemes and adjust since you came to Indianapolis?
There really wasn't too much different. Of course, there's some differences, but there were a lot of shared concepts between the two. And really, the only true application was the learning the different line calls, like the offensive line calls that we use amongst each other. That was really the main difference. So it wasn't too big of an adjustment.
Jonotthan, I wanted to ask you, you ran out on the field for the first time in an NFL game last Thursday, albeit preseason. I'm sure that's a rush. How do you feel like playing in the SEC has prepared you for life in the NFL?
Every conference has their competition. It may vary from position to position depending on the conference, whatever. But the SEC is definitely a tough conference to play in, and there's a lot of great athletes amongst the SEC teams, and really I think just that level of competition, just really it helped me just develop those, the techniques, whatever skills needed to be a stronger offensive lineman, just because the competition level was so high. So there weren't really many games off, so to speak, although there aren't ever any games off, but there was always such a high level of competition. You had to stay on top of your game.
Who did you feel like was the toughest guy you had to go against in college? I mean, obviously there's some great defensive linemen out there that you would have played at the same time with, some of whom you might end up seeing again very soon in a Colts uniform. Who did you really feel like was an outstanding player that you enjoyed playing against?
Really, I guess I have to say Tim Jernigan from Florida State. He was definitely good competition. We were going back and forth the entire game. Some plays he'd get me, some plays I get him. But it was definitely great competition.
Did it tough to admit that about a
State. Sorry, it wasn't SEC, but
sure, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is it tough to admit that about a Seminole? I mean, for a Gator?
Yeah, what, I give credit where credit's due, and the rivalry was still there, yes, but I personally just approach each game as nameless, faceless. Study film, yes, but that way I don't psych myself out or anything like that. By thinking, this is such and such team. It's just my personal way of keeping level-headed throughout games.
Very good. Well, hey, listen, I really want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know everybody's rooting for you. The Colts really need depth on the offensive line. Whether you end up starting, whether you end up backing up, you're going to be a big part of this team this season. Let me ask you one final question. The Colts have had a lot of older players from the past come through. I know Edgerrin James has been around. Reggie Wayne, I don't know if he counts or not since he's still on the roster.
Yeah, he's still here.
Have you gotten to see Jeff Saturday at all? Has he imparted any advice? Has he been around at all?
No, I haven't met him personally. If he did come around, I didn't see him, but no, I haven't met him personally. All
right. Well, I hope you get the chance to get a little wisdom from one undrafted center to another. It worked out pretty well for the Horseshoe. The last time we had a big undrafted center come through, he turned out to be a pretty dang good football player and went to a lot of Pro Bowls. So I don't think you have anything to feel bad about, and I think Colts fans are expecting big things from you in this coming season. So, Jonotthan, thanks so much for being on the show tonight, and we're all pulling for you, and do a good job out there this week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.